We're going to look at tagging and how we can apply tags at different levels in CDK. So the first place that you might think to add tags is the stack, CloudFormation stack itself. And we can add tags with the tags field here, and the syntax for this, or format if you like, is an object of key to value, where it's the tag key to the tag value. I raise that because in some AWS APIs, you provide the tags as an array where each item in the array has a key field and a value field, which are, as you would suspect, the key and value of the tag. So let's put in an example tag here. Let's say we'll have my organization prefix, and then this is going to be our project tag. And let's say this is the brush your teeth project. So if we run a synth now, the template that we've got generated doesn't have anything to do with tags in at all. We can look for brush your teeth, but all we get is the names of our manually named resources from the lesson that's just before this one about adapting the brush your teeth example for context. So where are the tags set? Well, the tags are applied to the stack when it's created or updated. And then we're relying on CloudFormation to distribute those tags, if you like, or to layer them down through all the resources that get created as part of that stack. But there are other things we could do instead of using the CloudFormation tags property here, the ones for the stack themselves. And now we apply tags in other cases using aspects. And aspects will be covered properly, or fully I should say, in a different lesson, but we can do tags.of. Then the thing that we're attaching to, so you can see that's a scope and iConstruct. So we can do it all the way at the app level if we like, right at the top level. And then we've got two methods here, add and remove. So let's add some tags. Let's add, let's add an environment tag, and we're going to be using our environment value that we were looking at from the context there. And then let's say we could have one more tag. What should we have? Let's have a cost center. And then that's going to be James. I am the cost center for this stuff. So let's give that a run. So we've attached those two tags to the app, and then we've got our stack tags here. And if we go and have a look in the template, obviously we're not going to see the stack tags because they're sent to CloudFormation when the stack is updated or created, but we will see the other two tags. So you can see that on the IAM role and on the Lambda function, we've got those tags on there. So they've been attached at the top level, and they flow all the way down through the various levels of constructs to the resources themselves. And this is achieved with a tag manager. So let's go into our getting started stack here, and let's go into the stack class. And you see that the stack class, the CDK stack, not the level 1 construct CloudFormation stack, but the stack class implements iTaggable. So what is iTaggable? That gives us a public field on the object called tags, which is a tag manager. And then very helpfully, they've actually got a little bit of an example of how you use the tag manager. So they've got an example construct here, which extends resource. And then they are creating a public field called tags, which is a tag manager. And then they are setting up the constructor here, and they're building, in this case, just one resource, but their construct could make many resources if they liked. And you can see that in the properties field of the resource, because this is the CloudFormation properties, we are setting tags. And with tags, we're using this .tags, which is our tag manager, .rendered tags. And rendered tags is a bit of a hint that it will collect together all of the tags from the scope that it's in currently and provide you them in the nice little format of that list of key and value pairs. So that's how you would do tags if you want to capture the current scopes tags and use them for some kind of context. But that's a bit of an aside from the day-to-day tagging we're doing at the moment. I just wanted to sort of point it out as how it works. So going back to our template, actually, let's pop over to there. You might be thinking, well, there's only two tags fields specified here. There's only two resources getting tagged. So why is that? You know, what's happened to the other resources? So let's see what else we've got. So we've got an event rule, we've got a Lambda permission, and we've got an IAM policy. And none of these things are getting the tags property. So what's happening? Why aren't those getting them? So let's open up our trusty CloudFormation resource and property types reference. And we can go in here and we can find the relevant infrastructure or relevant resource. So let's look for, what should we go for first? Let's have the event bridge rule. So we'll find event bridge, we'll look for the rule, and we'll go to properties, and we've got description, event bus name, event pattern, name, role ARN, schedule expression, state, and targets, but we don't have tags. There's no tags property available on this CloudFormation resource. Here's our list there. And if we go and have a look at the event bridge API, and we find the relevant API action for creating an event rule, which is going to be put rule, and we go and have a look at the request parameters, then we will find that there are tags available. So this is a case where the CloudFormation resource doesn't support all of the fields that the underlying API, the underlying AWS resource does, the underlying API does. To get tags onto our CloudWatch event rule, we'd have to use a custom resource for this. And we'll cover that in the dedicated lesson on custom resources. But it's just something to bear in mind if you're going through, looking in your template, trying to find things and why they're getting tags or why they're not getting tags. You might be scratching your head for a bit, and that could be because the resource in CloudFormation doesn't support having tags added, even if the actual resource in AWS does. So that's some very, very high level tags. There's some tags all the way at the top of the application. If I pop back to the right folder, or right file, I should say. But what about if we want some tags only for specific resources, or only for single resource even? So let's go to our getting started stack. We've got a number of things in here. So we've got our event bridge rule, which we've seen doesn't support tags in CloudFormation because there's no property for it. And we've got our Lambda function, which is using an IAM role that we've made manually because we wanted that custom naming, and then the function itself. So because we've got role in a variable here, we can do tags.ofRole.add, and then we can specify a tag. So we can say is lovely role, and we can say yes, it's a lovely role. And if we run a synth again, we go to our template, we find the IAM role, which is up here, and is lovely role is yes. Okie dokie, so that is a tag on a single resource, but we can also do tags at the construct level. So I'm just going to take that off, that one for the role, and we're going to do tags again here on the Lambda function. So we'll say Lambda function dot add, and we could say something else, maybe like node lambda. Maybe we want some tags only on our node lambdas. So we'll set that on there. And then this is a level 2 construct, so it can create multiple resources. And because we're doing tags.of and then the construct itself, all of the resources that support tags will get tags added within the, depending on what it makes. So if it made a role, rather than us making the role manually here, that would get the tag. If it makes a CloudWatch log group, that would get the tag. If it makes a Lambda function itself, that would get a tag, and so on and so forth. So let's run that again. And we can pop to the template, and we can find our Lambda function, and then we see we've now got the node Lambda tag with value yes. So that was a run through tagging. We saw that we could use the tags field on the stacks themselves, and that would get put through to CloudFormation when the stack is created or updated, but wouldn't necessarily show up in the template because we don't see things about the template as an overall concept in that file. We just see the resources, parameters, and properties, etc. in there. We could also attach tags using aspects, so we added them to our app all the way at the top, and we saw that those tags get filtered through into all the child or nested resources. We looked at how we could add a single tag on a single resource, which we did with our IAM role, and then we looked at attaching a tag to a bit of a bigger construct that may produce several resources, like with our Node.js function.